report was released by the Biden administration in March of 2021. The Biden administration released the 22 report, the midterm report, in December of 2023. So they were in compliance with this law. Donald Trump is still pending. James, explain a little bit further what exactly would be in this document.
Well, first, it's important to recognize that Democrats have missed this deadline, Democratic administrations have missed this deadline, Republican administrations have missed this deadline. The deadline is a paper tiger. Let's start there, because Congress wrote this law, but they wrote it without an enforcement mechanism. The idea here, in terms of what, to answer your question in terms of what's in the data, is the idea is databases, all large databases have errors. So you need to create a matching process when you're putting one database up against another database and you're trying to come up with a match. There are going to be errors. And so you need, the reason for these timing mechanisms is that when you're trying to match those up to determine who's eligible and who's on the voter rolls and who should be on the voter rolls and who should not, you need a lag time in order to correct the record, in order to say this error is explained because it's a middle name, it's an initial, it's a hyphenated name without a hyphen or with a hyphen, it's a maiden name, it's a date of birth that had one digit transposed, it's a typo, it's a software error. All of those things are everyday occurrences in databases of all sorts. So the reason that Congress wrote this law that creates a time lag is so that there is an opportunity, a window to correct it. The problem here is that we are not just outside the window, we are now outside the window and inside the next window, and we're dealing with a refusal as opposed to just a delay.
Are you sure it's not just that they're trying to figure it out?
I am reasonably sure that what we are talking about here is the difference between delay and defiance.
Why would you say they'd be defiant?
Because we are now, as you said, 75 days from the next election. So it's one thing to miss a deadline that is 60 days after the last election. We are 75 days before the next election, which also, by the way, from a legal standpoint, puts us well inside the 90-day period that is the period after which, once you are 90 days before a federal election, the government is prohibited by law from systemically removing voters from the rolls. So the purpose of this matching process that this law sets up has already passed.
Does Congress come into this at all, Scott?
They do. In fact, I've talked to 3 different members of congressional intelligence committees and their aides today. They want to strip money from the Director of National Intelligence until they produce these reports. The 2024 report that Vaughn mentioned, and oh, by the way, the 2026 foreign interference report was due 105 days ago. They're late on their work with that, too. So Congress has got concerns. They also can see what's going on here. It feels like a sleight of hand, if it's even that subtle. Team Trump is putting into its big electoral grocery cart a whole bunch of things they can cash in or use to try to challenge the election after November. They sow seeds of doubt, and they don't release the papers that could alleviate the doubt. That really provides kindling, I think, Katie, for what comes in 76 days.
Yeah, all right. So given that, we do have some kindling that the White House has already released. Vaughn, this non-citizen voting, the voting claims that the White House has put out, what's up with them not being verified?
This is really the fact that the Department of Homeland Security is only able to potentially verify a small number of individuals who they claim to be non-citizens is an issue in all of this, because it comes down to the question, Katie, of what is this administration potentially going to do around the November elections? Is the president going to try to send federal agents with a search warrant to gain access to ballot and ballot machines and use supposed foreign interference as a justification? Or is he going to attempt to use the idea of non-citizen voting that he has yelled about for years now as a justification? And that is why this video I want everybody to look at here for a moment is so important, because it was just 1 month ago that the president went on primetime national television to say that there were 250,000 non-citizen voters that his DHS had found in 4 states, including in the state of Nevada. Fast forward, this video meeting was between Nevada Secretary of State election officials and the Department of Homeland Security. And you'll see some of the frustration of the state elections officials saying, you made this claim about us. Well, where's the evidence? Take a listen.
The documents, the list that you had spoke of, are we able to get those either now or perhaps immediately following the call?
We're not finished going through the voter roll for Nevada, so we wouldn't have a full and complete list.
So what you're saying is the 15,000 number has not been vetted, basically. It's the number that you are starting with.
It hasn't had a full manual review of each one.
Do you have a rough timeline for when we might be able to receive that information? I mean, given the close proximity to not only election day itself, but to mail ballots.
Now, Katy, this meeting was a week ago. Fast forward to just yesterday in an email. We obtained all of this through a public records request to the state of Nevada. You can see in an email where even now Department of Homeland Security officials are writing that, quote, we've manually reviewed some of the 15,903 and confirmed 185 are not U.S. citizens. We still have 14,000 plus that still need additional review. But they're also limiting the amount of information from their claimed data that the federal government is saying that they have and are providing the state of Nevada, which again just hits at the heart of what has been a years-long issue of Trump and allies claiming mass number of non-citizen voters, but then when it actually comes down to providing that information to the public or state elections officials who are actually trying to get to the bottom of it, the necessary data to prove it, they're not doing that.
So let's talk a little bit more about the kindling and what happens, Scott, come election day. If there are contests that are close, or contests, say, where one candidate is leading early on and then another candidate overtakes them later on as more ballots are counted, say, in one distinct area that might lean one direction or another, and then one of the candidates demands a recount, do you believe we'll see more of those in the coming election, and if so, why?
We know elections administrators and others who are in the world of trying to watchdog our elections are doing these tabletop exercises right now, Katy, preparing for the eventuality of foreign misinformation on social media the day of the election. You can bank on that being tried. And for these disputes that arise after, including during the counts, during the sometimes sluggish counts in some states. Local elections administrators are more prepared for this than many people think. They have exercised on this. They are prepared for this. They've seen this in past elections. They're more ready now than even they were in 2020. I think a lot of this foreign interference that's being attempted, that's being studied, even though the studies aren't being released, are things people are more on a war footing for now than they were 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and 6 years ago.
All right, so James, war footing. You have a number of officials who are prepared for this. Can you prepare for whatever might come next? Whatever Donald Trump and his allies might try to do, either basing it on alleged voter fraud that they don't have the evidence for, or stopping a count, demanding a recount. Are they ready?
I think they are, and I'm normally the pessimist on your panels. But,
look at you!
But I'm with Scott here. I think that the warning signs have been out there for long enough. We've already been through the ultimate dry run, right? I mean, we experienced 2020, we experienced January 6th of 2021, and everything in between those two time periods, and we have the same individual as president, and all of the warning signs, the bullhorn has been, the megaphone has been used. Nothing at this point can catch election administration officials